Warning, the following program contains graphic depictions of murder, death, and mayhem. This is for adults only. If you're not of age, get out.
You can age restrict your own videos, Matt. It's not hard, but whatever. I am a true crime junkie. I love true crime. I watch all the garbage on Netflix, and right here on YouTube, I follow a couple of channels just to get my true crime fix. Lord and Arts can be a little bit difficult to follow, but he presents himself as a serious journalist performing a public service. He will often contact victims' families to have them participate in the creation process to make sure that he is respecting the memory or just urgently releasing videos on missing people so that they can be found.
But it's weird. It gets a little heavy when there's so many updates, and particularly with cases where I've been in contact with the families. And of course, I'm not going through anything near what they're going through, but in a way, I'm on their team. I feel like I'm part of trying to support them in going through this. And when you hit developments in cases like this, you really feel it. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm in this position to be part of that team. I'm thankful that I know these people so I can reach out to them and tell them that I'm here for them or try to offer any further help, because a lot of the time you find one answer and that just leads to so many more questions.
That chapter is probably my favorite true crime channel. This smug Irishman covers really bizarre and often disturbing cases with his biting wit, always riding a fine line between what is okay and not okay to say when discussing victims of brutal crimes as well as the perpetrators, and he's pretty much always successful.
Your wife's a rapist. You disgust me. She tried to grab my arm. Then Lisa was basically like, stay the hell away from us. Which is ironic, because she grabbed him to bring him closer, but whatever. Adrian, undeterred by this, then decided to go through the official channels to report this sexual assault. And when he did, he was essentially ha-ha'd out of the room by the Coast Guard investigators.
And the third true crime channel I follow is a man named Matt Jarbo. He is a slovenly, emotionally detached man who lazily reads news articles and Wikipedia pages, coming to no conclusions on the subjects he covers, instead imploring his audience to discuss it in the comments section in order to raise his engagement.
A pregnant elephant in India dies after being fed a pineapple filled with explosives. I'm not making that up. This happened in India a couple days ago. A pregnant elephant died because she was fed a pineapple full of firecrackers. According to the article here, Indian wildlife officials are mourning the death of a pregnant wild elephant in Kerala, India, who reportedly died after being fed a firecracker-filled pineapple by an unknown assailant.
Now, shitting on mundane Matt is like, well, it's low-hanging fruit. It's beating a dead horse. It's not funny anymore, and it's not fun. But I just wanted to make this video to show you what it is Matt has been up to as of late. For example, here's a video from earlier today covering a disturbing story from San Antonio.
We don't have any of the other details on this. We don't have any of the details surrounding this particular incident. We don't know what drove the mother and father to commit this act. We don't even know who committed the act. It could be deemed a homicide. It could be deemed something. What I was able to find by just looking around more is, like I said, the gentleman was the father was in the military, hadn't checked in for work, which is why most likely why the welfare check was caused. And he had been working from home these last couple months due to the current pandemic and the shutdown, stay-at-home order. And it's possible that, without getting into too much speculation here, without data, I don't want to dive into it too hard, but it's possible that this happened because of a mental break due to the coronavirus, as well as perhaps the protests from around the country. That's been a theory floated around as well that I've seen, where it's entirely possible that the weight of the world and the weight of the situation just levied too hard on this man's shoulders, and he just took a way out that ultimately ended his family and his animals. It's sad, it's tragic, it's terrible. And that is the world we live in this week.
We don't know anything. That's the hard-hitting reporting I look for when I look for true crime videos. But sometimes the absolute laziness that Matt presents these videos with goes from hilarious to actually frustrating. I'm going to play a clip from his video on the Delphi murders, a disturbing unsolved case where two tween-aged girls were assaulted and murdered out by a public bridge in a public park, but were able to take a photo and record the voice of their assailant. Just listen to how crime reporter Matt Jarbo sums up this case.
I didn't want to leave this video on too somber of a note, but I wanted to talk about the memorial. In August of 2017, I believe it was Abby's mother, pushed for a memorial at the entrance to the nature reserve, where people have been leaving flowers and notes and little things to honor Abby and Libby, including this one right here that says, "Abby and Libby, we are still searching for the truth. We refuse to give up until justice is served. In hope and love, the justice seekers," and with a bunch of initials. And you can tell how much this particular story, this case, these murders, I don't want to minimize what happened, these murders rocked this small Midwestern town. It's unfortunate that it happened. It should have never happened. These girls should be alive today, not being talked about by a guy who lives 2,000 miles away in Washington. But all I can hope for is that by talking about this, by putting this case out there a bit, that maybe somebody knows something. Somebody can say something, and we can finally see the killer brought to justice. At the end of the day, that is what matters. And that is what I hope will be happening, and that is what I hope we will accomplish. And I look forward to your comments on this, your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know down in the comment section. I do look forward to what you guys have to say on this. I will talk to you later. Have yourself a great night. Please hug and kiss and love on your loved ones, because you never know when it's going to be too late.
You heard that right. He didn't want to leave a video about two tween-aged girls being murdered on a somber note. Does he even proofread his own script? He doesn't want to minimize the murder of two children? Okay, Matt, no one thinks this is a small deal, and you're probably right. There is no reason for you to be talking about this case. It has been on the news, it has been covered by far bigger YouTubers with far more viewers, and it's clear you're just injecting yourself into it, giving absolutely no new information just to get some views. But it gets worse. Listen to him sum up the kidnapping of Lisa Irwin.
And unfortunately, I don't know if there's been any follow-up on that. Now, because this happened 2 months ago. And people in the thread reportedly had sent this information to journalists, but who knows if anyone out there in Kansas or Kansas City who doesn't know 4chan, doesn't know these stories, the story of Emily Sanders, doesn't know any of these things, didn't go out there to check. And I don't know if there's been any anonymous individuals or anon who frequent 4chan who have opted to head out that way and to see for themselves, because it's entirely possible she is there. It is entirely possible she is there. And as a father of two, I can only assume how the parents are feeling about this. And I mean, if I were the dad, I would have to head out there and see for myself. If the police aren't going to do it, then go and do it yourself. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, Lisa's been missing for a long time. And we don't know if she's been kidnapped and given to somebody else. There was a report that I saw that one of, I believe it was Deborah's credit cards, was used to buy like a fake birth certificate. I read that. No real follow-up on that one, though. I think the authorities confirmed the website itself is real. So that was just kind of adding another layer of mystery to this particular story about how there was, you know, the idea that some floated around in the articles I was reading was that people kidnap children of that age in order to be able to sell them off, or they want children, or they want to give it to someone who can't have kids. And they're very hard to track at that point. And buying a fake birth certificate could allow that child to grow up relatively normal with another family for quite some time. However, with the invention of DNA matching and 23andMe and Ancestry.com, the likelihood of these types of cases taking as long as they are to get figured out would be a little bit shorter. But we don't know yet. It's all theory, it's all rumor, it's all speculation. Who knows? Who knows? I've seen a lot of conversations online where people absolutely suspect that the mother did something, that Deborah Bradley did something, and that they freaked out and that they ditched the body. Cadaver dogs did get a hit inside of the house, but that is inconclusive. They weren't able to get any other hits, and they don't know what's going on. I mean, if she would have died in the house that night, the decomposition wouldn't necessarily have set in, so I don't know if a cadaver dog would have been able to do it. And I did read something else that said that cadaver dogs can detect decomposition of corpses up to about 23 years, and that the house that they live in was built in 1966, so literally anything is possible. I don't know.
Just think of how many questions he asks that could be answered with a simple phone call to the local PD. Google isn't the end-all be-all of research. You take 7 days to make one of these videos, Matt. Let's say you take the weekend off and take a full day for production and editing, though I don't see how that could possibly be the case. In 4 days, you could call the PD. You could do some serious research on the subject matter. You could find out how cadaver dogs work. It's ridiculous. This is the laziest content I've ever seen, and I make extremely lazy content. Saiyans Entertainment puts more effort into his videos than Matt does.
The next beige frequency video is going to be about Jim Norton. So he tweeted out, maybe after Lady Di Part 3, I'll drop a video about the show where Jim Norton may or may not have did something to a girl. Now, this could mess up Jimmy a lot because this has never really ever been talked about publicly. I mean, I don't even know if Porcelain even touched on it in his documentary, The Worm Has Turned. But I'm pretty sure beige is, because the whole Jim Norton admitted to it. If you go check out, if you like search Opie and Anthony with Ralphie May, that was that whole situation. And so I'm pretty sure beige is going to play Jim Norton admitting to it. But I'm just wondering if because beige frequency gets huge numbers on all of his videos. I wonder if it gets big enough, if it could actually do damage to Jim Norton.
And watching these videos led me to ask myself a question. What could Matt Jarbo do to make his show watchable? To make it content that people would actually want to seek out and watch week after week? He can't turn to actual reporting. He has none of the journalistic instincts or sense of urgency that keep people invested in Lord and Arts week after week. He also doesn't have the sense of humor or self-awareness that keep that chapter always knowing where and how it is appropriate to be edgy and comedic while discussing horrific crimes. I thought for quite a while, and I came up with a slight change to the format that would have me and probably thousands of others coming back again and again for more content, only minimally tweaking the format. All that really needs to happen is that Matt has to turn on his camera while reading these stories, and he has to dress up like a lion. I don't want this to be interpreted as a joke. This is honestly my feelings. If Matt Jarbo, dressed as a lion, would read these horrific, somber news stories without giving any particular feelings or opinions on them, and completely ignoring the fact that he is dressed up as a lion, I would recommend this show to all my friends. I'm subscribing and pushing that notification button. I am a fan for life, or at least until the lion costume goes. And I know there's almost no chance Jarbo will see this, but I also know if he does, to an older YouTuber, it can be embarrassing to admit that they took advice from a nobody with less than 1% of their subs and it revived their career. So if Matt should choose to do this, I promise to delete any evidence that this idea was mine. You can thank me privately, and we could part ways. Me drinking myself senseless and being called the other F word in my chat, you unenthusiastically reading the news and Wikipedia articles dressed as a lion. Not friends, not brothers, but comrades.